Hello, I'm Christopher Lopez, and this is the StarCraft Observer. The show centered around the real-time strategy game StarCraft and its real stories from the community. We talk to artists, streamers, players, creators about their first encounter with the game and how it's changed their lives. Hello, listeners, and welcome to today's episode. So, today's going to be a bit of a casual one, a bit of a community update type of thing, and just to see what's going on, as well as like stuff that I've been seeing within the StarCraft community, and a bit of stuff outside. But first, this weekend, March 23rd, Cheesadelphia is upon us. I went 2 years ago, and it was an absolute blast. I highly recommend any of you that are close to the Philly area to attend and just watch some incredible StarCraft matches. It's at localhost. It's an awesome venue. Tons of PCs there. And last I was there, they were having a bunch of events. Well, not a bunch of events, but a couple activities that you could do there. We were painting pumpkins last time, if I recall. And all around it's a good time. And the way they set up everything for the viewers too is pretty awesome. They got like chairs set up, and you can view the players just going head to head on the main stage, and the casters are off to the side. And it's an awesome event for anybody who just loves StarCraft and just wants to talk StarCraft. Anybody's welcome. So March 23rd, this weekend, 2024, Cheesadelphia. I'm going to be there. So I hope to meet all of you there. And we can talk about StarCraft and talk about podcasting, talk about anything. But highly recommend for anyone that's nearby to go. That's an awesome event to get excited about. And in StarCraft Observer news, we have a guest, or I have a guest. I'm so used to saying we, because I want it to be we. I just don't want it to be me. I eventually want to grow this thing and have other people helping out and editing and just being a team. So I have this thing where I can't say we. Anyways, but yeah, we have an episode lined up for next month, which will be out right away, actually. Interview's been done, and I just got to edit and storyboard it. Now that I got everything planned out accordingly in terms of like what I'm going to do stuff on the daily with content, it just makes a lot of things easier. Before, it was just a little bit disorganized, and I was worried about content every day. And when you plan things out and you just have it laid out by the day, it just makes things so much easier and gives you breathing room, because like on this day I'm doing this thing, the next day I'm doing this thing, this day I'm gonna be working on TikToks and other people's TikToks, other people being Sal, and then on Friday I'm working on co-op companions. Like when you have it organized like that, it's just so much easier. So highly recommend using Notion and just learning how to use it. It's a really great tool. Not a sponsored post or not a sponsored message or anything. It's just I started using it and I actually really like it a lot. So, we got a guest lined up for next month. I've been excited. Been wanting to speak with them for some time now, and just to get to know them and how they came into StarCraft as always, and how their passion for the game came to be. So excited about that. With a bunch of stuff happening, one of the things that really, really caught my eye this year was the Blizzard layoffs. I think it caught everybody's eye, really. Because a lot of us in the StarCraft community are pretty close, and we're like 3 degrees away from a Blizzard employee, or like 1 degree away from a Blizzard employee. And it's sad to hear that some of them were laid off, and, they worked their whole lives there, and all of a sudden they're just not, which absolutely sucks, because your life is literally turned upside down and you have to figure out what to do next. And you're pretty much in survival mode, right? Like you got to just start dusting off that resume and then going through interviews and just scheduling interviews, or just talking to people or getting to know people. I know that a lot of the Blizzard folks have come together to create a Slack and pretty much support one another. It's pretty amazing seeing all that happen and seeing this Blizzard family come together. But it's unfortunate because for so long we were just really excited for this merger between Microsoft and Blizzard, thinking it's like almost the cure-all to all of our woes for RTS. Hopefully, StarCraft getting some more content and seeing more tournaments or seeing more funding and seeing all these things, but the opposite happened. And I believe it's just a culmination of things because just the entire like tech sector right now is experiencing mass layoffs. What's even crazier about the whole thing too with this whole Blizzard layoff, Mike Ibarra was also laid off. It's crazy because he expressed his passion for Blizzard at BlizzCon and how much he loves it and stuff and how much he loves the community. And next thing you know, he's being laid off. And along with that, their survival game that was in development was also canceled, which sucks, dude, because when it comes to Blizzard and their games, they tend to create a legacy out of them. Because you got Diablo, you got StarCraft, obviously, you got World of Warcraft, and they're trying to do the same thing with Overwatch, Overwatch 1, Overwatch 2, and, just keep the game continuous and keep it moving forward. And I know that's just a few, but with this canceled survival game, it really sucks because I was really looking forward to like what they were going to make and for it to be a survival game of all things. And seeing some of the concept art, it seemed very mystic, very whimsical, and it reminded me of Valheim. From what I've seen from Valheim, it seems like takes place like during like the Nordic times, right? And you have to collect these special runes that give you special abilities to make you run faster and stuff, or like they make you stronger. And you're having to build like a fortress, and it's also a multiplayer game. That's what I was picturing with this canceled survival game. So it really sucks. And as a result of all that, Blizzard entered a multi-year agreement with ESL Faceit. So now we're going to have these Overwatch tournaments at ESL now, which I think it's called Overwatch Champions. And that's going to be pretty interesting, seeing just the entirety of Blizzard just at ESL tournaments, which is, don't get me wrong, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. A whole Blizzard family together. Hopefully it feels like BlizzCon all over again when you go to these like ESL tournaments, which makes me really happy too, because ESL stepped in and kept this thing going, especially when WCS ended. That was the biggest thing. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, what's next? What's going to happen? Oh my gosh, is this it? Are we not getting any more tournaments? And next thing you know, ESL makes an announcement and we're all happy again. And then next thing you know, everybody heads to DreamHack Atlanta, one of the biggest events that, to me, just is absolutely wild. And they had it again recently in Atlanta, and lots of people were there again. So, yeah, it's going to be really exciting seeing all these Blizzard IPs at the different ESL events. So, really cool stuff. And despite all the crazy things happening in the tech industry, there's some incredible stuff happening in the StarCraft community. One person that we just had on the show recently put out a trailer for a new documentary that they've been working on. So I spoke with the StarCraft Historian to give us more insights into what he's been working on. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, man, how's it going?
I've been good. I've been keeping busy and just trying to keep all the plates spinning. And I've got I still have 3 unreleased videos from Korea that I filmed in like November. So yeah, there's just I kind of want to move to perhaps more weekly releases, but I'm a little bit afraid that like 2 interviews a week might be a bit of overload. So I don't know. I'm toying around with it, but I'm at the point where like I film an interview with somebody and I'm like, yeah, this should come out in 6 to 8 weeks.
Gotcha. And yeah, I saw that you recently put out a trailer for your StarCraft documentary. What's it titled again?
All Roads Lead to Seoul.
And was that the documentary that you were like talking about in the last episode we did together about like doing this passion project that you've been wanting to do for a long time? Is this the one?
Not really. I mean, so like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm really excited about this piece, but like this piece represents the style of content that I've been wanting to do for a long time. But I still think I have other ideas in my mind that are more like magnum opus style pieces. But I think I would still probably view this All Roads Lead to Seoul piece as like the most significant to me because it's the first piece that I'm developing that has like a narrative theme, and that I'm like crafting a narrative as opposed to just sort of pulling information out of someone.
And even though it's about StarCraft, is there like a main storyline or like a main focal point that you're trying to like convey to the audience?
Absolutely, yeah. So like the main like ethos and just like the sort of genesis of the idea is that like people like myself and many others, especially more old school StarCraft fans, but many modern ones too, have this kind of inexorable connection to Korean StarCraft. But what that ended up becoming was a connection to and an appreciation of Korean culture. I think it's fascinating, because I think people, to quote Day Nine, as I'm wont to do, is he said something along the lines of like, I don't think people quite appreciate how into games they are and like the type of impact that a game can have on your life. And I think for many years there was such a broadly negative cultural perception of people who are hardcore into games, and I think stuff like this really goes against the grain of that ideology, because it's what could really be more positive than becoming intimately familiar and enamored with a foreign culture that you otherwise would have had no interaction with. It's such a beautiful thing to me. Like I've made Korean friends that have nothing to do with StarCraft because of my interest in and love for Korean culture. Like my really good friend Heesung, like he used to joke around forever and then like tell some of our other friends like I'm more Korean than he is. Because like because I would sometimes like message him and tell him something like news from like the esports world, but then also you end up becoming exposed to news from like the Korean business world and stuff like that through StarCraft or like television shows, music, and so I would end up exposing my friend who's fluent in Korean, whose parents only speak Korean. About stuff that's going on in Korea. And so that was like always a really hilarious, dichotomy in that friendship.
Yeah. You know what's funny, man? Like when I think back to like when I first started really getting into StarCraft, and when Wings of Liberty rolled around, and my friends was like, "Oh, dude, like you got to watch this tournament. It's the GSL, like all these pro players from Korea are playing. Like you just got to watch it. Like it's on tonight, like around 3 a.m. If you stay up, I'll stay up with you to watch it." And I was like, "All right, cool." And before it all starts, they start, putting in like filler. And the one thing they would do is K-pop. And I feel like before K-pop was cool now, a lot of the StarCraft people were like really into K-pop back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all the Korean music I listen to as a result is like mid to late 2000s.
Yeah.
And there's all these songs that like, in a vacuum, I actually think are kind of like not such awesome songs, like not that they're like negative, but they're just like crappy like pop songs. Like I like one that stands out in my mind is the 2NE1 song. English title is I Am the Best. And Maru used to use that as his intro song in SSL and Pro League. And the main chorus to this song is just Niga Che Chalaga. I am the best. I am the best. That's it. And I think that song is trash, but I still, like sing it, laugh at it, smile about it every time it pops up on the playlist, because I just think back to 15-year-old Maru just like sitting there, looking like this nerdy little kid, and this song is I Am the Best. It's just a hilarious memory.
Oh man, while sitting in his booster seat getting ready.
yeah, literally, yeah.
So funny, man. But yeah, it's crazy like how just like the outpour of Korean culture flows in from StarCraft, and the fact that you went to like Korea to like be at ground zero to like document all these things firsthand. How long have you been working on this thing, and how long were you in Korea for?
I was in Korea for I think a little over 2 weeks, like 16 days, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
From like the end of October into early November. So I was there for one of the group stage days at GSL, and then the semis and the finals. I mean, I didn't do any of the filming for this piece at the studio. This was more just like setting up interviews, and you know, you'll notice that like the people that I featured in these interview, like in this documentary rather, are the same people that I shot interviews with, you know, just in general. But yeah, just to give a more concise explanation as to like, you know, the general idea, I would say like the piece is centered around the way in which I personally became enamored with Korean culture as a result of my fascination with the Korean StarCraft scene. And then with supporting arguments from foreign voices who ended up making the trek to Korea because of their passion for StarCraft. And those foreign voices being Gemini, Estrella, Starshim, and of course Tasteless. And then the film also features Byun and Sue, and they represent the competitive spirit and dedication like that the Korean pros have, and you know, the fact that that is really what sparked not only our interest in Korean StarCraft, but also, you know, sort of the global esports industry as we know it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's awesome. And like when you're sitting down with you know, with these Korean pro players, did you have like translators there with you, or?
Yeah. So I worked with Maddox for all of the translation that I did while I was in Seoul, and he was amazing. Like, so he lives in Daegu, which is like it's like a 2-hour commute from Seoul, and he commuted 4 hours round trip for me like 5 times in 2 weeks or something crazy like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Like, and you know, whatever, I compensated him best I could, but like, you know, those train tickets were not cheap either. And actually, furthermore, he also commuted down to Mokpo, the southwestern part of Korea, to meet, because we were going to film with Gumiho, and Gumiho is not actually in the doc, but we shot an interview with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, like he commuted to Seoul like 4 or 5 times, and then to like the other side of the country as well.
Whoa. Yeah. No, Maddox is definitely a really passionate dude when it comes to like all things StarCraft. Even when I like
esports in general.
Yeah, esports in general. And then like seeing him at IEM too do the translation, I was just like, dude.
Yeah. So he actually also, like, between like his incredibly busy broadcast schedule in Katowice, he helped me film an interview with Hero. And that was like it's a shorter piece, but you know, just because of the strict time constraints that we were under. But yeah, that was amazing. Like the guy literally ran off stage to meet me, you know, in the backstage to shoot this interview, and then had to like literally run back to go do the translation again. It was crazy.
Out of all the interviews for you, which one was like the one that had you like the most anxious and rattled before it even began?
It's got to be the Tasteless one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can hear it in my voice and just like my demeanor in the beginning of the interview, and I got more comfortable. Nick was so nice and made me feel super comfortable. Before the interview even started, he was just like, "Oh, hey, I'm just gonna like run to the store and like grab some drinks for us," and he just like, yeah, just like walked to the deli and like picked up some. Oh, like he like, oh, you should try this tea and whatever. He was just super inviting, made me super comfortable and calm, but it was still kind of crazy to be like filming with him, you know. And also he was also a rock star for me. And like, okay, so like the place that I rented to film with him, you know, I wanted to do something in his neighborhood to make it convenient, and so it was kind of like a house with like a couple levels, and you could just rent out like a portion, like a floor of the house for a certain number of hours, right? Because I was trying to find something like economical. And it was also just like nice looking, you know. I wanted something with like a good backdrop, whatever, you know, the whole 9 yards. And what happened is, though, like the people that were renting out the upstairs were like going up and down the stairs, and every door in Korea, everything in Korea just makes a noise. Like you open the door and it says, "Oh, boom, boom," or something. Like there's always some noise, and so it's terrible for filming, right? And so, you know, Nick got really annoyed at one point and just like basically scolded these people in Korean, and like, and was like, he like opened up the door to like where we were filming, and he was like, look, like we're shooting a documentary right now. Like, have some respect, more or less.
I mean, were these people like, were they just busy, or were they just like, I mean, what was going on?
the impression was that they or our impression was that they were kind of just like fooling around, like they were just like I think they were renting up like that space to like hang out or something. It wasn't so much that they were just like making noise or talking or whatever. That would have been fine. It was that they kept going in and out of the front door. And that was like terrible because like and we were on the first floor, so like we were like right next to the front door essentially. And so it was super super disruptive, and the thing is, once he said something to them, they didn't do it again. So like it clearly wasn't that much of a necessity.
When are you expecting the documentary to be done by?
I was hoping when I initially filmed it, I was like, like every person who makes content, extremely overzealous. And I was like, oh yeah, dude, I'll have this done by the end of the year. Now I was hoping to get it out by the beginning of March. That's not going to happen. I'm thinking end of March, first or second week of April, the latest.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's looking like how it's shaping up. I'm just trying to make sure I have a cohesive arc to things. And yeah, I just want to make sure that I am portraying all the ideas that I want, accurately. And yeah, I just want to make it fun. I'm not sure how long it's going to be yet. It's looking like maybe about 25 minutes, something like that. Could end up being like 30 or 35 minutes. I'm not 100% sure yet. But yeah, somewhere in that range.
Definitely some exciting things to come from the StarCraft Historian. The fact that he went to Korea and did all the legwork himself, along with a bit of help from Maddox, that's pretty incredible, dude. What's even more incredible is that he got to speak to all the pro players face to face, which is not something that someone does every day. They don't suddenly fly off to Korea and then interviewing like the best players in the world, and it's because of the historian's passion for StarCraft. It just led him to Korea. All roads lead to Korea. And speaking of pro players, there's recently been a big shuffle in different rosters and amongst the different esports organizations. So immediately I thought of one person for some reason. And for me, like, they're the esports guy. I don't know why, but he's also great to talk to. We've had him on the show so many times, and he's just truly a gem. So here to speak with me today is none other than our favorite esports memer, Protoss player, #1 trap fan, Gemini. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. How are you?
Doing good. How's everything in Korea?
Oh, it's good. It's nice out. Weather's getting good.
Yeah.
Getting good over by.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting better over here too. It's starting to warm up and can finally like step outside and just go for a nice walk without having to like freeze to death.
Yeah, right.
Oh man. Yeah, dude, how's the GSL cast? I managed to catch some of it and stuff. Dude, you in state, man.
Yeah, it was great. I think it went very well. I'm surprised the reception is pretty much just all good. There's like even people saying that like they didn't really care that much that Tasteless was gone, which is kind of cool. So I'm taking Tasteless's job, basically, is what I'm saying. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, I think because of the banter between you and State, like, just kind of reminded everybody of like the banter that Artosis and Tasteless would do, especially back in the heyday too. So a lot of the stuff that you guys would come up with, I was cracking up half the time, man. So I had a great time watching you guys, or like listening to you guys too. So
yeah, it's good to hear. I mean, whenever you're on the desk and you're like just like making these shitty jokes with someone, you're like always like you kind of find it funny, but then you're always just wondering in the back of your head, it's like, do these people watching just think we're stupid and just should shut up, or like do they also think this is funny? Like we have no idea. So
yeah,
it's good to hear.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. And then like, do you always get anxious before like a GSL cast?
I mean, it's just like the normal, just like recast, just like, excited anxiousness, I guess. It's just like okay, cool, like let's do it. Like it's not like I'm like, I don't know, I'm not like losing my mind, like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. Like I'm it's good. It's chill. It's like the first couple minutes is always just getting into it, and then after that just kind of rolls by itself.
Yeah, like there's been a couple people who like wanted me to like just guest cast with them, and every time I join them, it's like I feel like I forget everything, dude. Like your mind just goes blank. But yeah, like getting into like the actual podcast and stuff with everything that's been going on, I think in the past like 4 or 5 months, we've been seeing like, I want to say major organizations, but these organizations that like we've kind of known for a while, especially like, for example, Cloud9 picking up like Gumio, like that was like, for me, that felt like it came out of nowhere. I was like, oh damn, like, okay, that makes sense. Like that makes sense why they did that. Cause like RTS is going through like this small little boom again, like in 2010 when StarCraft 2 came out and everybody got really excited. And then, you know, you had this random team or this random organization, Aftermath, picking up Parting, which was like, oh, shoot, okay. You know, Parting just got in the military and then Aftermath picks him up. What do you think is like the whole like motivator behind that?
See, I mean, yeah, I think it's really sick that like all the teams are even coming out and just like grabbing these players, which is just like you said, it's just really cool to see. It's like an overall revival, essentially, like you're saying, of the old days where it's like everyone's kind of having these fast grabs to get new teams. I mean, we had Vitality picking up all the onside guys, which is crazy. We had Talon coming in, which is a great Valorant team coming in to get Dark. There's actually even also another one that just joined in, which I didn't even realize until after the GSL, because I even said it on the GSL cast. I kind of forgot what team Bunny was on, because at first I think he was on he was on Mystery Gaming, but then he did leave that last month. But then I wasn't sure if he joined a new team or not, and he apparently did join a new team literally that day of GSL, and it's actually Falcons, Team Falcons, which is very interesting to me, because what Team Falcons even is a it's a CS team that literally was made like only just recently, and it's like this it's like a conglomeration of just like a bunch of the best free agents that did not make it onto certain teams recently, and they just all got formed into like this super team, essentially, that's trying to be like this new super team with like an incredible coach as well. So the fact that they just randomly picked up Bunny as well is kind of like, that was like so shocking. I like looked at that, I was like, wait, what? Like I was like, that's the same team, right? It's the CS team. It's like, yeah, that's who that is. So
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that one was also kind of interesting and kind of came out of left field.
So with all this shuffling happening, one would expect the teams to split or drop a few players, or some players just going their own way and becoming a free agent, right? But one team decided to keep the entire roster together. Team Vitality and their partnership with Onside.
I will say, I guess, that I think that was a kind of a goal for the players in Crank, is that they did want to try and make it so they stick together. And so that was part of it for the agreement and whatnot. So yeah, the fact that they were able to actually manage to get that instead of having to be split up and whatnot onto different teams is it's really sick, because you don't see that really anymore. It's like teams essentially nowadays in StarCraft 2, and what has been for the last while, like multiple years, is that it feels like teams are essentially just sponsorships. They're not really teams. Up until WTL came back again is when it really started to feel like the teams actually are becoming teams again, which is pretty cool. But there's still those single players here and there. For a while, like Cyril couldn't play because it was just him on Ents in the WTL, so that, stuff like that. And so the fact that now we get Vitality coming and bringing them all together as well, signing them onto this, the big, huge. Like, I mean, Vitality is like one of the biggest names in esports, so it's like absolutely incredible that they've got everybody. So, seeing them try to make it seem like, yes, this is actually like, we want this team, we want the team to stay together, is really admirable. It's great, obviously, that the other teams are also picking up single players, and it's totally fine strategy to go about it as well. It makes sense. It's a nice, easy pickup for a lot of teams. StarCraft players are generally not that expensive compared to some of these other huge esports teams and whatnot. So it makes sense and it's obviously great to have them coming in as well, and I appreciate it. But like, you know, Vitality doing the extra step up of actually making a whole team is pretty sick.
Yeah, yeah. Funny enough, though, I was working on this thing because somebody like was requesting on a TikTok saying like, "Oh, can you do this like epic moment on like Gumio?" I was like, "Sure." So I was looking at like doing research on Gumio and like one of his epic moments, and one of them was like when he all team killed Slayers back in like 2011 when he was on FXO, and the team vitality and the onside partnership reminds me of like when Slayers did their Slayers EG, when they had like that same partnership going. So I was just like, oh shoot, it reminds me of that when like, this partnership.
You mean EGTL?
It was EGTL? No, it was
Slayers didn't,
because like they were wearing an Evil Geniuses shirt.
Yeah, it was EGTL, and then the EG players and TL players each wore their respective jerseys.
Oh,
that was the merger that it was, the EGTL.
Gotcha. Okay.
There was also Acer and Axiom. Oh yeah, Axiom. That's right. Of course, yeah, Axiom and Acer, because they were such good friends. That's right. Yeah, Axiom and Acer, and also then mixed together. So it was basically the Axiom guys, and then MMA joining over from Acer, and then also Innovation and Scarlet once they played as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, they played in GSTL. That's what it was.
Okay, that clears a lot of things up. But yeah, it reminds me of like those older days of like, when teams are working together to put together like a awesome roster, and just like dominate. which that's what this partnership between Onside and Team Vitality feels. It's just seems like such a power team, like a power band, just like getting together.
Yeah, I mean, not to brag, but I mean, we're the best team. We literally, like, statistic wise, we're the best team in the last year. We won both WTLs in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of first place tournament wins from both Mara Solar. So I mean, yeah, not tooting my own horn. I'm not actually the player themselves, but I was the social media guy, and I appreciate the fact that they were winning so much. It was very cool. But no, yes, it's awesome that they picked them up.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a super team, essentially. And then it's also going to continue to be like that, even more so, considering the new WTL rule is that they're going to allow mercs, so that teams will be able to just but merge with these single players under other orgs to make these combination teams, just like it was in the past with EGTL and Acer and Axiom, where you can just have those one-person teams be joining in. So, yeah, that'll also be really cool to see which partnerships end up arising from that, and where that's going to lead for the next WTL season.
Yeah, I hope we get a GSTL again someday. I missed that, dude.
Yeah, that's some cope.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
big
if
cope.
only.
Big cope on the.
Yeah, let's get 3 seasons a year again first before we even go back to that. So yeah.
I just want one, just like on the beach of Busan. Just
yeah.
doing that all over again.
Yeah, let's just rent out Guangali Beach again. Yes, that's true. We'll have our little 30 viewer audience in the middle of the beach.
The big old fireworks show too. Oh man. Yeah. And one other team that we just briefly touched on was Talon. That was another like huge thing too, like them picking up Dark. And I was just like, the Valorant team, okay. You and Tasteless did the announcement video for that.
Yep.
How's doing that?
Oh, it was great. It was so fun. me, Tasteless, Ziggy. It was such a cool little thing to do. We're also good friends with the studio that produced that. Like the main guy that is in charge of that is like one of our good friends. So the whole thing was just fun. Like we literally just got total freedom to do it how we wanted, and just the guy, the producer who we're friends with, just had a great idea and was like, this will be perfect. We had all our like own little inside jokes in there as well, which is like so funny. Like, I don't even know if they came across correctly. Like the way like Ziggy is like, saying, like, he's like whispering to Taste, he's like, come on, man, like I really need this, like, my visa, yada yada, like that. Like that's like we've always had these like running jokes about Ziggy trying to like get his visas properly and stuff like that. So just like stuff like that, or just Yeah, just the fact that like Tasteless sometimes like will like act like as if like he's just better than us, but he doesn't really do that. But like just the whole idea of that is just kind of funny because that sometimes every now and then will happen where he's just like we see him as like God almost like just carrying us around, but not it's all in jokes.
Yeah.
Just like the little things here and there, just even if it didn't like the video itself, I think everyone thought was hilarious, but there's just those little things in there too that for us as just the actors inside was made it even more funny.
Yeah, my legit favorite part was the coffee segment.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad. I was actually very happy with that. I'm like I thought the funny thing about that as well is that it was like just totally like that was just a coffee shop. Like we didn't like rent out like a like these studio like the production studios will usually rent out a place to do this, right? Like I was also there. It's the same guy doing the Vitality one actually. And so like I was there and that was like a rented out like we had a whole day to do that in that studio essentially. But like that coffee shop was just like we just walked into a coffee shop, bought 2 coffees, and we're like, okay, let's go do this. The camera guy's gonna be waiting outside. You have to run out and scream into the open air in the middle of this busy street. I'm like, okay, yep, I'll do it. So it was like kind of awkward, but it ended up actually turning out okay. So I was pretty happy about that.
Dude, it was really convincing. I'm not gonna lie. Like you did really, really good. Like, hey, you're not gonna stick around?
Yeah, it was that also wasn't even going to be there. Like actually Nick Tasteless came up with that literally as we were walking along. Like we were about to finish with that segment like in that area, and they were going to go do it at a different place. And then Nick was like, wait a minute, what if we do this? And that it was the idea of walking out of the cafe, and we're just like, oh my god, yes, that's perfect. Yes, that'll actually help to like combine this whole thing and make it more funny.
That's awesome.
It was perfect.
While we didn't get into the weeds about Talon's acquisition of Dark, you can watch an interview that Tasteless did with Dark over on YouTube where he asked some really great questions. That video can be found in the podcast show notes. So with all this shakeup of teams and organizations picking up players, what could actually be the reason why they're like getting StarCraft pros all of a sudden? And when I was talking to Gemini, he actually gives a really good theory that I'm actually finding myself agreeing with. And yeah, he actually makes a really good point. Just listen to this clip.
To be like blunt about it, I'm pretty like the ongoing theory, it seems like from everyone, is that these teams want to be picking up players for the esports World Cup that's going to be happening in the summer, right? Because like especially since last year it was clear what the format was, where if teams will get more points for how many different esports they're placing in. So if they're placing high with multiple different esports in their same team, then they're going to get more points, which will give them, more earnings at the end or whatever. They had that like thing at the end in there. So it's pretty much, I'm pretty sure like the theory is that these teams are picking up these single players. I mean, Navi's doing it. There's this other team, R8 esports, that picked up Kelazur. I mean, there's a bunch of them. I mean, Vitality doing the huge. I mean, the fact that Vitality did it with all of the onside members as well is actually like pretty cool and respectable as well. So the fact that they're not just doing like one person is pretty sick. But yeah, like the theory seems to be that yes, these teams want to have a player to be able to throw into the esports World Cup as well for them, and see if they do well, and just to get some points for that. So that's my honest that seems to be, people are saying that, and I mean it kind of makes sense to me as well to look at. So
yeah, and when you say like the esports World Cup, do you mean like the Gamers 8 thing?
Yeah. That's the rebranded Gamers 8 or whatever.
Yeah, like that also came out of like left field too when they announced it. I was like, what the like. That's pretty crazy, and it's like a bunch of money too, and it's from like Saudi Arabia of all places, which I was really surprised. Because you know what, they acquired. I think they made investments into ESR or something like that. I can't remember, but anyways,
yeah,
like just that whole like Gamers 8 like announcement, and then like all the promo material that they did, like trying to become like the esports capital of the world and stuff. I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. But
yeah, it did really come out of nowhere.
like, how'd you feel about the first one, like the first Gamers 8 overall?
I mean, I think it was good. I mean, just the fact that there's like that much money coming in is pretty sick. I mean, there's plenty of controversy, obviously, about where the money is coming from, which is a bit tough. But the fact is that like we're getting money put into the scene, and it's giving these players more opportunity. And I mean, it's a lot of freaking money, bro. Like, I mean, like, what are they gonna do? They just say no? Like, no, I'm not gonna play in this tournament that has so much more money than any other tournament, and that is like, this is my life that I'm supposed to play this video game, and it's just right here.
Right.
So, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, the controversy is difficult, but I mean, the actual event itself was well run. I thought it was cool to watch. Like, it felt like a good esports org, or a good esports run tournament, I should say. I think the only problem with it is that it is like the actual production of it. I mean, is that it's in Saudi Arabia, which means like there's not a big audience. So it makes it feel a bit empty. And that's what I'm a little concerned about going forward with the new Esports World Cup, which is essentially going to be like, it seems like it's going to be considered like the new world champion, where it's being the person being crowned there or whatever that wins. And having the world champion be crowned in front of a studio audience of like 10 people plus the camera people is a little it doesnn't really feel right, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like Cyril giving a speech and then that one guy clapping.
Yeah, I it just feel that alone, that part of it just feels a little meh. But I mean, the production was great. I think overall it looked pretty good. I think just as another side point, just because I feel like this is also kind of interesting. I feel like in general, esports is doing this thing where they love to do this the augmented reality stuff. And Gamers 8 was really big on that too. They're doing all these cool like augmented reality animations and whatever on the stage and stuff. I don't actually like that personally. I think it looks kind of a little like tacky and strange. And if they just like focus more on just getting like cool camera shots of the players and stuff, like like properly lit and properly framed shots or whatever, I think would look cooler than trying to go for these like futuristic augmented reality things. But that's my only other thing watching the production of it. I think like the crowning moment of Rainer from Gamers 8, I think actually is like, I'll be honest, it didn't look good at all. like the camera movement was terrible. Like the fact they're trying to like the moment that he wins, they like just go off to like this giant shot of the stage with just these weird augmented reality just like boxes like everywhere or something. Like I don't know, it just like looked strange. I hope they don't do like that kind of stuff again, because I think as a viewer, you want to see like these really cool, awesome, epic looking shots of the players after they win, the trophy lift, like the crazy like fireworks or lights that happen around it and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's those are the only things that I was a little bit about. But I mean, the tournament itself was great. So it came with some great games. It had new storylines and everything. So.
Yeah, I'm hoping that like like all those things that you talked about like the production and like those virtual reality things and like the actual desk panel not being there. I hope that they're not doing it this year, and I hope that it's just like only fallout from like the pandemic, because I know like what was it? Yeah, during the pandemic, IEM was doing the same thing, right? Like.
Right.
They had like the virtual panel. Calaris was just off to the side in this like big old green screen room.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm hoping like everybody's actually there, and then like you get this like host to player interaction that we usually enjoy and stuff, and actually seeing like the emotions, and not only that, like hopefully there's a big crowd there, but getting to Saudi Arabia is probably like super expensive. I don't know.
Yeah. It's also going to be in the middle of the summer again.
Yeah, which everything's like melting out
hilarious. There. Yeah. I mean, just talking to Tasteless about it when he like came back from it, he was just explaining like how like Like it's literally you've never experienced heat like that until you've gone to a country like that in the summer. It was just like he was just saying it was literally you're just in an oven nonstop when you're outside. It's like insane.
Shoes are melting as you're walking to the venue.
Yeah, it's just totally
man.
ridiculous.
And just to clarify, during that interview, the Saudi-backed group Savvy Gaming Group did indeed acquire Faceit, along with ESL in a $1 billion deal. Lots of changes in the air, and along with that, lots of development happening in the RTS scene. The first being ZeroSpace, which a lot of us had the opportunity to participate in the alpha. I myself had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the game. It's definitely different from your average RTS, with this hero focal point in the beginning. But as time goes on, the hero becomes less valuable, and it just becomes an ordinary unit. And another thing that I really liked is just the way it just felt. It just felt, I don't know, there's something that just can't pinpoint it. There's just something there that just made it absolutely fun. And I found myself playing it every single day until it actually came to an end. It was really tough, especially the laddering in the alpha, because the player pool was so small. I was encountering a bunch of pro players. At one point, I was playing Mixu. At one point, I played Nathanias, I think a Laser, and my friend Maya Lameo actually played against Clem, and she actually held it down. So when I was watching her game on stream, I was like, wow, she's just doing so good against him. But, you know, Clem being Clem, he was just able to take the game. But I was really happy with how May put up a fight and just kept going. She's just really good with her macro and understands RTS altogether. So shout out to May. And yeah, the ZeroSpace folks are pretty amazing because they're listening to the feedback. Katz, Scarlett, and the whole dev team. They'll, during that whole alpha when people were streaming it, they'd pop into different streams and just actually listen to the gripes that some of us were having, the stuff that we were really enjoying. Yeah, just actually taking notes down and listening to us. And I think that's the other thing that really makes me happy about this game is just that we're finally being listened to. It feels like when you want change with StarCraft 2, it just feels like you're screaming into a void. No pun intended, but it just feels like you're screaming into a void and nothing's happening, you know, and the changes that you want aren't the changes that you get. And it just, but I'm really glad that this new generation of RTS is not only aspiring to be the golden standard of StarCraft, but listening to the community actively and making that aware and with full transparency. So yeah, I had a great time playing ZeroSpace, and I'm looking forward to what they're up to. The next RTS, StormGate, the open beta. When I was in the closed alpha, I didn't have a good time. It just felt very one-sided against Infernals. It was just, I only played like probably 3 games, right? Like that's it. Like that just wasn't really motivated because it just felt like it needed a lot of work. Now, come this build, I had tons of fun. Same experience as ZeroSpace, where I was like playing it every day, and they had a ladder system in place too, so you're able to see your rank progression. And I really like how they're doing the ladder system too, like where it's getting like your maximum or your peak MMR, and it keeps it there, and then you have your fluctuating MMR, which is really cool because like if your fluctuating MMR is below your peak MMR, that's okay. Like you're actually playing players at your fluctuating MMR, and then once you get past your peak, then that's when you start earning points. Nobody really knows how the point system works, but anyways, yeah, I'm absolutely loving the ladder system. And this time around, it felt, I mean, I can't say it felt better. Balance needs to be worked out, but they know everybody's gripes and stuff. And once again, this is another dev team that's really paying close attention to the community, actively listening. And I also see them in the discords when we're all playing in there, especially when Larimbo's yelling his head off about the balance and how much he hates certain units, and they're listening to all that. But another thing that was incredible too was the fact that we got to stream it. We got to stream in the StormGate category and just finally show off this game to the world. And it felt great seeing a lot of the community appreciate it, and seeing Nina play it and her having fun with it, and seeing Juggernaut Jason having fun with it was pretty incredible. Because these are two people that, yeah, they enjoy StarCraft, but they were having more fun playing StormGate in the current state that it was in, even though there's a bunch of balance issues, obviously, but the game is absolutely fun. And the one thing that really and I absolutely hate this, and BeastyQT actually tweeted about this the other day, the one thing that really, really irks me a lot is the negativity on both sides of these new RTSs. On ZeroSpace and StormGate, it's like you have the ZeroSpace people wanting StormGate to fail, and you have the StormGate people wanting ZeroSpace to fail, and then you got the StarCraft community over here wanting both RTSs to fail. And it's just like, dude, we just want RTS to succeed, man. What is your guys' deal? These two RTSs, and along with a few others that I haven't named, like Immortal Gates of Pyre and stuff, they're aspiring to that gold standard of StarCraft, dude. And you should be happy that we're getting something after, 12, 13 years? And yeah, you can say oh, some of these games suffer from toxic positivity, and no, we want to see RTS succeed. And BeastyQT just made a really good point with his tweet, how each side wants the other game to fail and they want their own game to win, when really it shouldn't be like that. It should be we all want RTS to win. But yeah, with all these great RTSs coming out, it just makes me so happy that we're seeing this revolution of these games inspired by StarCraft come to life and slowly going to be in our hands. And on top of that, community funded as well, because the passion is strong for a new RTS, and people want a new RTS. And I'm looking so forward to the future of RTS, and I'm so excited for the things to come. All these RTS developers are doing amazing things, and they know what the next RTS needs. Yeah, the future is bright with RTS, and I'm really excited. Once again, thank you to the StarCraft Historian and to Gemini. All their social media can be found in the podcast show notes. And it was a pleasure having both of you on the show, and I'm looking forward to more episodes with you guys. You can follow the StarCraft Observer on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you get your social media from. Editing, music, and production was done by your host, Christopher Lopez. Outro music by the talented Televangel. Head on over to their Bandcamp or YouTube. You can also find Televangel on Spotify. More details about Televangel in the podcast show notes. Until next time, friends, thank you very much.